Hi guys, Jimmy from Boxing Life, and welcome back to the channel today. Today, got a very special guest, undefeated professional boxer. We've been meaning to do this for quite a long time. Finally got around to it, so I'm absolutely delighted to have Dan Morley on the channel. How's it going, mate?
Yeah,
good?
yeah, no, it's good to get on. Finally, I've been watching your videos for years, even before I started doing some on my own. So, yeah, it's good to be on. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it, man. That really means a lot as well. And guys, if you get the chance, make sure to check out Dan's Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube page. They're really great. Dan does amazing lists. Like, I don't know, you put in so much time into that, mate. I don't know how you do it. You recently did, I think I shared it in my community page, and it was your top 50 fighters, which that's like one of the hardest lists to do, in my opinion. Like, I don't know how you managed to. You can maybe narrow it down to the top 20 for me, but like the top 10, I would change my mind all too often. But yeah, what was that like putting together?
No, well, thank you for sharing it firstly. And yeah, it's always hard. Like I think that's like the second list I've done this year, and like, to be honest with you, it's one I've always wanted to do. Like, because it's like no one ever does it, and I've never seen a video of it. So I was like, you know what? I was just sitting in a coffee shop having a coffee, and the idea just hit me, and I started writing it down, and I started doing the research, and I was like, "Ooh, this is gonna be." But no, like, to be honest with you, man, like I do these lists because I was even creating content before that, and like I would do a video about, I don't know, like Floyd or Tyson, whatever, and it'd get loads, and then I'd do a video on like Jimmy McLaren or someone old, get no traction at all, and no one would care. So like I found if I do the list format and people are invested in a list, they'll pay attention to all of them. But the only downside that is that everyone starts disagreeing with you, and I'm like, man, I do my list and I don't even really. I try and put thought into it, but like they're impossible. You know, I'm like, right, put him there and whatever.
Yeah.
And then
I know. I saw there was a controversy over the. Was it you put Pacquiao ahead of Mayweather, and I saw the comments went crazy. Then that's funny.
I think I got.
But yeah, it's like you can. It's so hard to do, isn't it?
Oh, you know what, right? Like, and I'm going to defend myself on this one because, like, I knew that would spark controversy, and that's not why I did it. Like, and I think a lot of the people that comment on that stuff, they don't look at the whole grand scheme of things. And like, I think they're both amazing. I think Mayweather is the better boxer, but that list was like a career overview. And I just think Pacquiao across 10 weight divisions, boxing all of those Hall of Famers for longer. I just thought like Floyd is better, but if you're saying who had the greater career, I think Manny did, personally speaking.
I know it. I know it's crazy when you consider like how many weight divisions he won a world title, and it's just like,
and just all those hard fights as well. Like all those hard fights against the Mexicans before he was even like a star, like a superstar, if you know what I mean, like Morales, Barrera. He had like 10 fights against them, and I'm like, like, and then he went on to everything he done. It's even though he lost, I just think he would take more risks. But you know, I think Floyd people too, and I enjoy. Funnily enough, I enjoy watching Floyd more because I feel like I learn more from him.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm the exact same. I think like you can probably model a lot more things off Floyd rather than Manny, just because of Manny's movement. And it's funny. I had I don't know if you saw Zico from the Fight Diary. He was on last week, I think, and he's from the Philippines, and he was saying everyone there is southpaws, and they all try and model their style off Manny. It's so funny. But it's just interesting, like it's with Floyd. Yeah, I prefer watching him as well, just because you just pick up so many little things that he does, and yeah, he's a terrific fighter, or he was a terrific fighter. But I guess we'll kind of go on to the weekend's fights, and the big one that I guess most were watching was Bam Rodriguez versus Sonny Edwards. And I believe, Dan, did you used to train with the Edward brothers? Is that right? Back in the day?
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, I mean, I've known Sonny and Charlie for years. I mean, I'm 26, and I've basically known of them for my whole life, because even before I started boxing, I grew up in. I live in Epsom, but I grew up in Mitcham, which is in South London. It's not like the nicest area, do you know what I mean? But it's you know, I would drive down the road, like obviously in my parents' car, And there was this house I'd always drive past, and it had a boxing ring in the front garden. And I remember it from like the age of 5. Mate, who has a boxing ring in the front garden? Like, and then it would always just stuck with me. I wasn't even into boxing, and I found years later training with them two, that it was theirs. That was their house and their garden. And I trained with Sonny and Charlie. I didn't train with them, do you know what I mean? But like we were in the same gym every day for a few
Same
years.
gym, yeah.
Same time, you know, they would do their thing. I would do mine when I was getting started. But yeah, I followed their careers from when they were just smashing everyone up in the amateur APAs to like, obviously, I didn't think they would do as well as they've done as world titles, but I knew they were both really talented.
Yeah. And I guess in terms of that fight the weekend, like, I really enjoyed it. We were just saying just before we came on, it was some fight, and obviously, like Sonny, we were kind of expecting him to maybe box on the outside a bit more, but he stood his ground, which surprised me. I was, I think maybe he thought, I can't move around too much early, or I could gas out potentially. I don't know if that was the reason, but it made it into a brilliant fight because he did stand his ground. And I thought he did really well considering Bam, his reach was just insane compared to Sonny's, and he was just that jamrod jab like in his face with the right hand. He was really struggling with it. I don't know what you thought, Dan, but I thought, I think right from the first round, I knew it was going to be a hard night for Sonny.
Yeah, speaking of Sonny, he's got like, and I'm talking about Bam, he's got like a Sonny Liston jab. Like, just he's able to like he just smashes people with it, and he gets so much extra reach on it. Obviously, like, he's not a big man, but like, his jab is different level. But yeah, I thought we would see a bit more standoff. I think everyone thought we'd see a bit more, like of a standoffish defensive approach from Sonny. But man, like, they at it. And obviously, I think the difference in the power and just that intensity is ultimately what made that difference. But it was a really good fight. And man, like, you gotta give so much credit to Sonny, because those shots were like, you could see on his face how much they were hurting.
Oh yeah,
digging in, and he was staying compact. He showed his class. And I mean, like, Bam is. People are talking about Bam like a generational talent now. He's obviously got his Hall of Fame wins earlier. Now he's got Sonny. And Bam's special, man. I, if I'm honest, I kind of fancied Bam, but it was just something about Sonny, and like having known him for as long as I've known him, I just the belief in himself and his skills. You thought, like, maybe you just go out and school him. But man, that was a brilliant fight, and I think it's done them both good. Do you know what I mean? And
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I think it's really risen Sonny up in a lot of people's eyes now. I think just mainly the fact that he came to fight, and I thought, like, he was fighting mainly out of an orthodox stance. I noticed he did, because he's obviously a switch hitter as well, isn't he? He likes to switch stances, but he was mainly fighting out orthodox, and he was landing the overhand counters as well on Bam as he was coming in, and I think he did a good job, but I think it was just Bam's body work as well. I think he did a really good job going to the body of Sonny, and kind of like I was saying, I think the fact Sonny was kind of standing his ground early kind of gave Bam the opportunity to target the body a bit more. And obviously he hurt I believe it was his left eye in that second round. And that was just because, Bam was going to the body, and Sonny was just bringing his guard down a bit. I know he does kind of box with his hands down sometimes, but, hindsight's a wonderful thing. I just feel like he could have had a lot more success if he just looked to box a bit more on the outside early. But at the same time,
because Bam's so good as well. Like, you could say that, but like, Bam tried everything he could do. Like, you just don't know. It's in theory, like it didn't. He was playing into Bam's hands doing that, but like, Bam's a good fighter, and he might have just been able to fight that, close the gap, and everyone would be like, "Oh, Sonny just ran and he just took a hide." Do you know what I mean? Like, I do think ultimately it was like they were both like, high level boxing, and then he just started getting to him and slowing him down, and there was a big barrage, and like, it might have been the 8th or something against the ropes, and you thought, well, getting to him now, and then Bam gets a little bit flash, sticks his tongue out, so he just starts bang.
It was brilliant. I love that moment. It was so good, and I love just how Sonny came back as well with that counter left. I was just like brilliant, and got Bam right on the other side of the ropes. It was just fantastic. But yeah, I think it was credit to both guys. They made the fight, didn't they? You need a good dance partner sometimes, as you know, Dan. And yeah, I was just a really enjoyable fight, and yeah, it kind of makes me think like what next for both guys. Obviously, I think Bam's talking about maybe moving up to Superfly to fight Estrada, and then with Sonny, I imagine he'll stay at flyweight. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense. It depends on how they make the weight. Sonny obviously was saying he makes it quite comfortably. So if he's there and Bam does go up, the title's going to be there. This is going to sound like a really casual question from me, but is Chocolatito still out Superfly, or is he retired now?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're Bam,
he's still at Superfly.
You want to taste those massive names. Like, he's already got a few. I know they're coming towards the end of their career, but like if he gets like the guys he's already got to fly and then goes up to Superfly and ends those guys' careers, like it's do you know what I mean? That's to build up mainstream attention in the smaller weight divisions after doing what he's done and having that kind of fight. You need those kind of names. So that would make sense to me, go up in Estrada. I don't know what Chocolatito's situation is right now, but if he can get those two guys that have been like the last decade, even longer really, and kind of put an end to their careers. And
I know. Yeah. I think for me, probably the Estrada fight makes the most sense for Bam anyway. Like you said, yeah, he's kind of coming to the end of his career as well, Estrada, isn't he? And you'd expect Bam to probably win that as well. And you can probably see Bam not doing an Inoue and moving up the weights so quickly, but I think he could probably, because I've seen a few people saying, "Oh, Bam versus Inoue," like in a couple of years' time. I'm like, what?
They were too hard.
I know exactly. I think
Bam is a bum until he beats Tank.
I know that exactly. That's what everyone says.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, you always see, like, yeah, that's one of the comments you always see is like, who's Inoue? Like he like until he comes to America, and it's like he's already fought in America 3 times. It's like, oh, drives me insane.
I had one the other day. I mean, when Inoue beat Fulton, like that, everyone was talking about Fulton, like schooling Inoue. Like, this is going to be where he comes undone, and he just absolutely blasted him. He's like, yeah, but who's Fulton? Like, you're like the only guy he's beat. Like, man, no one knows these smaller fighters. No one knows like the fighters. And like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's for me, it's one of the most frustrating things. Loving the sport like I do, and loving like I'm a big Inoue fanboy, and I have been for years. And now he's getting the mainstream. You get so many casual comments.
Yeah, it's just it's the usual, isn't it? It's like guys want to see these guys lose as well. That's the thing. It's like they want Inoue to lose, or they want him to like move up in weight too quickly, take a fight which maybe he should have taken his time, moving up in weight and stuff. And then
the Pacquiao thing, like people, like everyone's talking about Inoue, and people are like, he's no one until he's moved up to beat Tank. But like, if he moves up to beat Tank, that's what's that? He's done 5 divisions already. 1 title's in 4. So what's that? 7 if he goes up to.
That'd be 7, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, Pacquiao
if he gets up 10. To lightweight.
Pacquiao did 10. Like, sorry.
You just can't win some people over. They're always going to be fanboys of certain fighters sometimes, and that's fine. Like, it's okay to like a fighter and stuff, but I've always tried to like be as non-biased as possible. Like, I just like, that's one of the reasons I like boxing and why I got into it. It's because it's not like it's not like football, where you're supporting a team. For me, I'm just so intrigued by the styles of fighting, and it doesn't really matter to me unless like them. That's kind of, I've never been like a super fanboy of one fighter. I just appreciate the fights themselves. You know what I mean?
No, everyone is slightly unique in their own sense, and like that's one of the things I try and do in my videos and even my lists. Like I have my personal favorites, but like I always try and be as unbiased as I can. Like, I put Triple G bottom of my last list, and people are like, "What? doing? Like, he's your favorite. I'm like, yeah, but you gotta try and be as unbiased as you can. And man, when you go back through history, like you got guys from Nicaragua, America, Japan, like everywhere. There's so many amazing fighters that you can watch and learn about, and just learn tricks from as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's why I love going back and watching like old school fights. Just you just pick up so much more. The Sugar Ray Robinson and Joe Louis, stuff like that, and even like Henry Armstrong, and you can see guys have taken. It's how the sport's developed over the years. You can just see how people have taken just little elements of their styles or things they do, and you see it in the modern era, and it's just that's why people, I always say, watch the old school fighters.
Yeah,
because
it's like using Floyd for an example, because he is the most popular one. Like, and he has not revolutionized, but like he has swayed a whole generation into using the shoulder roll. And people are like, "Oh, Floyd is the shoulder roll guy," but like, he is probably the best to ever use the shoulder roll. But you go back to like Georgie Benton and like Georgie Benton was the guy. Even Charlie Burley in the 1930s was
Charlie Burley as well. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
He was probably the first guy to properly do it as well.
Yeah. Hey, mate, I think Benny Leonard.
Oh yeah, of course, Benny Leonard as well. I know. And that kind of low lead hand and the jab. Yeah, it's crazy. And then it's like, but people they're just not interested in the history like us, Dan. That's the issue.
I know.
But yeah, overall, I know we kind of went off track there, but yeah, I think great fight as we just discussed with Bam and Sonny, and hopefully they can both get some big fights going forward. I think they've definitely risen their stock. So yeah, overall really good. And then obviously we had the Showtime. It was their last ever card. I think it was 37 years they were in boxing. So we had Colbert in Venezuela and David Morrell. Can't remember the guy who he's fighting, but I've only seen like the highlights for those. But I was just going to ask, what do you think the impact of Showtime leaving the sport's going to be, Dan? Do you think it'll be is it a good or a bad thing, or what do you think?
I don't know. It's hard for me. Like, I'm not happy. It upsets me as like the growing up in the era I did. I mean, like one of the saddest things that ever happened to me was when HBO left.
Oh yeah,
that was like soul destroying. But no, Showtime was on a par. I feel like HBO kind of set the trends. If you get what I mean, HBO 24/7, and like like HBO was the daddy for me. Like Jim Lang and those guys, and Roy and George. But Showtime was excellent too. And like, when they, Canelo and Floyd, when they were at their peak, and Showtime was doing all of the all access stuff. And I mean, it's amazing. And just like, I remember certain fights but I mean, lots of people covered them. But like who covered them? So like the Gatti Ward fights, I think at HBO, Diego Corrales versus Castillo, I think of Showtime. And like, you just think of the coverage. And I think both done a lot for boxing. And for me, I can see where it's kind of going now. Where you're going with PBC and Amazon Prime and the Zone. It's all on the phone. It's kind of catering to the new generation of fans, the younger generation that are on their phones a lot more. You can watch it portably. You can watch it in a portable way. But for me, I don't know. I will miss those. They'll do it on the Zone, but just the HBO and the Showtime. The format, I will miss it.
I know, definitely. I think, like you said, I think HBO was the benchmark. That was like they were the daddy, weren't they? They were the top of the bill. And like you said, Jim Lampley and all that, and the HBO 24/7. I used to love watching that. That's like a huge inspiration to me as well with my channel as well, was just the way they filmed those like mini documentaries and before the fights and just the hype for it. But I guess with Showtime leaving, it's like, it's obviously a big loss, but like, as you said, I think everyone's going, with, portable, like they want to watch boxing on their phone or on the go. And I guess with Showtime, it was just a little bit more difficult. I think Amazon Prime, I think that's probably a good decision as well. And, I think PBC, they could have gone with as well. DAZN. But I think in terms of a business sense, it probably makes sense, just to make the market a bit competitive, that it's not all in DAZN, as much as it might have helped make some fights. But I think it's good that, boxing, but I do think it's still good in terms of, the business side and keeping it competitive, I guess. But we'll find out what Amazon Prime might take them a bit of time to kind of get the production standard up to scratch. But yeah, I guess we'll see.
I mean, like the Premier League was on Amazon Prime the other day, and I didn't even know. I just by a chance when I watched the film, and I'm a Chelsea fan, and Chelsea were playing Man United, and I was like, oh, so football's on Amazon Prime. So it's gonna be, if they're, I guess in a sense, it's obviously a wise thing to do, because it's not the biggest name in the world. Do you know what I mean? Amazon, everyone has something to do with Amazon. You just click on your Amazon Prime and then you get your boxing, as opposed to DAZN, which everyone was a bit like, everyone's calling it DAZN because they don't even know what it is.
I know you mean. Yeah, it's like, I know I tried to tell like some of my mates that they're not so into boxing, they watch the big fights. I'm like, oh, it's on DAZN. They're like, what's DAZN? I'm like, oh no. But you only it's like only boxing fans. Only, well, in the UK anyway, because I know like over in Canada, America, they've got like the Premier League on DAZN and stuff like that. But yeah, I think Prime's probably the best place they could have gone, apart from maybe like Netflix or something like that. But yeah, I think it's just the way the world's kind of going with streaming platforms and stuff. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I was going to ask you about, I wanted to hear your opinion on David Morrell. Do you think he can reach the top? Do you think he could beat like Benavidez, Canelo? Do you think he could? Because I honestly think that he's just so athletic. He's big. He's powerful. He's a southpaw. I think this guy is he's dangerous. Yeah, for the other super middleweights.
You called me out because I haven't watched much of David. I've seen you talking about him, but like, you've caught me out here. He's one of the few ones I wouldn't be able to tell you very much about. You tell me.
Yeah, no, I just think like just the points I was saying there. I really do think he. I think obviously the issue with him is that he's not probably faced any top guys yet. We need to see him in there with like a real top guy. But yeah. Obviously, I'd rather see Benavidez versus Canelo first, but I just feel like he's so talented. This guy, I just think he really challenges both Canelo and Benavidez, to the max, in my opinion. But I could be completely wrong. He could face one top guy and then that's him. But I just think.
Fighters, you see, like, I'm not going to go into Morrell because if I'm going to be completely honest, I haven't sat and watched much of him yet. I've seen little here and there, but like you can see things in fighters, like even Benavidez, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think he's going to give Canelo such a hard fight, because you kind of watch him coming through. I remember seeing old videos of him when he was young, talking about sparring Triple G and kind of following him, and then he like slapped Porky Medina with like 20 punch combo, and you're like, oh, this guy could be good. And then you just kind of see how they do you know what I mean? They either pass the test or they're just like, they've got something about them. Like, right, you caught me out with Morrell. I could tell you a bit about the other two, but
yeah, I guess I think it was Colbert in Venezuela, and obviously Colbert, I guess he was probably the same kind of like. There was a lot of hype about him. He was on that Netflix documentary. I can't remember what it was called again.
That was the one with the amateur guy who.
Cam. What's he called? Cam something.
Cam Awesome. Yeah.
Cam Awesome. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they were. Yeah, and Colbert was up and coming in New York as an amateur or as a professional. Sorry. And that was quite an interesting document. If you guys haven't watched it, make sure to check it out. But yeah, he was like meant to be this next big thing, and then it's kind of funny seeing him now when he started facing top guys. He crumbled under the pressure, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of the, I don't really know how the boxing scene is built in America, like with prospects, because over here, like the journeyman you face, like you see a lot of the prospects around here don't have many knockouts. like when they start coming up facing the journeyman, because the journeymen here are really tough, and you get matched with guys that are like they know how to box and they're good. Whereas I see in America, like lots of these guys are like 20-0 with 19 knockouts, and I don't know whether that's just steep, like whether they're just really good, steep competition, whether they get matched a little easier. But you know, like some of the greatest talents in the world right now are from the States. But yeah, like these guys, I've seen a lot of them come through with like really good records, and then when they get that first big test, it's almost like they're untested going into it.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel like over here it's like the guys, like you said, they're facing tougher journeymen who have like so much experience, and you know you'll know as well yourself, Dan. It's like, yeah, I feel like the guys from the UK, you know, we get a tougher time, you know, developing fighters here. Whereas over there, it's like they're just kind of giving them tomato cans, you know, build up the knockout record instead of actually giving them tougher fights. And that's why you know you see like even like I guess for example the Charlo twins, for example, I think they had like, you know, their first 15 fights were like 15 knockouts, for example. But it's like who are they? Do you know what I mean? Whereas like I feel when a British fighter gets to 15-0, you know, they've had some tough fights and you know getting up to that. But it's just a pool, as you said.
Mate, I found it like when I turned pro, like you know, I used to hurt people in the amateurs. I didn't knock lots of people out, but like, my style was chipping people away. So and everyone was like, "Oh, you should go pro. Like you should be really good." And so I went pro, and I was expected to stop these guys, and I was really hurting them, but like they just get through, and like dropping guys, hurting guys, and you just be like, they would just find ways to get through. And then you look at their records, and they're like 50 fights, 49 losses, but they stopped once. And you're like, man, guys are so tough. But like going into when I boxed Isaacs, like which was going to be a really hard fight, like having that experience. Although I didn't like fighting journeyman, like you do it a couple of times, but I just get into that. I was like, oh, man, I just want to have proper fights now. And then, but going into that Isaacs fight, all of those rounds that I've done with a journeyman, like getting used to the 3 minutes, the 6 rounds, 8 rounds, like. They really stand you in good stead. I'd never really appreciated how much I valued those learning fights when you start until I boxed Isaac. And I was like, oh, right, this is why you do it.
This is why you do it, yeah.
Yeah, even just feeling like your legs, like because when you get in the ring, it's always so much squishier than the one you train on. And like your legs feel like you're in sand. So getting used to that pressure, it's all a learning experience. And the journeyman, like I've boxed journeymen that are like national champions in the amateurs, like, but they've never won a fight pro just because they don't want to. Like it's a bad old thing to explain to people.
And I guess in terms of the journeyman, you know, would you say, because obviously just what you hear when I go to events, you know, some of them purposely do just lose the fights. You know, it's just all about giving, you know, these up and coming guys experience, as you were saying. And I don't know if, like, whether that's a good or a bad thing, I don't know. But I guess at the end of the day, it's like these promoters, they need, you know, their up and coming guys to get that experience at the end of the day. I don't know what your opinion on that is, Dan.
But... I've seen all sorts, man. Like for me, like I you know, I'd always hear about like, oh yeah, like take it easy on the journeyman, like you know, he'll give you the win, sort of thing. I'd hear people saying that, and I'd be like, fuck that, I'm trying to knock him out. And like, you know, I think a lot of boxers in the pros aren't actually very good, and I don't mean that in a horrible way, but you know, built to get that record, which I just think is nonsense. And like, you know, I was always able to pick journeyman apart, and you know, I would just try and go in and knock him out. Like I know it's a bit that frowned upon in, but I'm like, look, I gotta, do you know what I mean? So I always would hear those things, and then I'd get in and be like, well, what's the point in messing around? Like, what's the point in fixing stuff? Just go in, and you know, if I stop this guy and he ain't gonna box for 3-4 weeks, then that's his fault. Like, you know, like,
I know.
But the journeymen are mad. Like I boxed a guy called Lee Hallett, who's he and like this the level he's at. Like when he decided he wanted to win a fight, he beat Harley Ben. He just went out and beat him. Like he got the win. Like you know, I hit him with a left hook to the body and dropped him, and like he was grimacing, and I was like, yeah, stopped him, and he got up and he just finished the fight and he stuck it on me, and then I boxed the next the next week, the next week. And then he messaged me like the next year, and he's like, "Oh, you broke 2 of my ribs," and I'm like, "Mate, like, they're just on another level, these guys." And there's one called
unreal.
Oh mate, I can't remember one of them. He would just go to the calf before he'd fight every week, go to the calf and just eat a fat bowl of spaghetti bolognese before his fight. You know, mate, these guys are nuts. Like, I'm just like,
it's some lifestyle, man, and it's crazy how they're just like going up and down the country, like taking these fights every single weekend. It's just like, and the sport, like at the end of the day, like the sport needs it. They need them, don't they? But yeah, there's some tough men.
They get so much stick, and like, if for anyone watching this that doesn't know what a journeyman is, like, from being a pro and an amateur myself, like the transition from amateur to pro boxing is like, it's almost like another sport. So like these guys, they go in and they're not supposed to beat you, but if you're not on your game, they will beat you. It's when you start early on, and they will just give you rounds, show you all the dirty tricks, like without telling you. You just pick this stuff up. So when you do go into your hard fights, you have all of that experience, because I feel like the UFC does it quite well, even though MMA does have journey too. But like the UFC do it well, where everyone just gets in and fights everyone. And I think people expect that from boxers. But there's a few cases that I've seen. I'm not going to name the fighters, but you see a few lads breaking in on Sky Sports the last couple of years, and then within a year they've boxed like the best up and comers, like 3 in a row. They've been banged out 3 times, and their career's just over. Do you know what I mean? Like, so
yeah.
You have to build a career and you have to build a fighter. So that's why journeyman is so important.
Yeah, definitely. I know we went off track again there, but that was really interesting, Dan. Thanks for sharing. No, I appreciate that, man. I know it's certainly a really good insight, obviously. But yeah, we'll move on to the big, arguably the biggest boxing event of the year, the Day of Reckoning. I guess just what's your initial thoughts on the card, and do you think it's I guess there's a lot of mismatches in there, in my opinion, but I think overall it's a good event. It's a good event for boxing, and I think it will help the sport. But yeah, what's your thoughts on it, Dan?
Yeah, I'm mixed on it. Like, like I'm going to go to my friend's house and just watch it with a load of my friends, and it's just before Christmas. So like, on that point of view, like it's brilliant, because I get to watch Bivol, I get to watch Opetaia, Wilder, Joshua, like it's all on the same night. But you know, that is amazing, getting all of these fighters in together. But like you say, there are a few mismatches on there, in my opinion. Like, you never know in boxing, but I find all of these fights are like fights where you kind of know the winner before. There's a couple where you might, even like a couple of like the main event is like, you know, it could be a hard one. Which one is it, Joshua or is it Wilder?
I believe it's Joshua Wallin, but I might be mistaken. It might be the other way around. It might be Wilder Parker. But I guess, like, just starting off, Joshua Wallin. Do you think that's a hard fight for Joshua? Do you think? I think obviously Joshua's moved over to Ben Davidson now. Interesting move. Don't know if it will work out. Well, I guess we'll find out. But yeah, it should be interesting. I think obviously Wallin's a southpaw. Kind of gets behind his jab, doesn't he? He's got good lateral movement. I think it's kind of who can set up their backhand, really. I think that's kind of going to be the factor in this fight. But I could see it be quite a slow paced fight.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's a dangerous fight, like, because Wallin was, you know, like everyone will know him from the Tyson Fury fight, where he was kind of, you know, like, not like, who's this Swedish guy? And then he come out and he obviously cut Tyson's eye and he stuck it on him. And I mean, even watched that day in like the 12th round, he clipped Tyson hard.
Yeah.
So that, going off of that performance, like, you know, I knew he was decent, because you don't give Tyson that kind of fight, even if he's on an off day, if you're not decent. But like the one that for me proved like, oh man, this guy's actually good, is when he just beat Gassiev, because Gassiev not a natural heavyweight, but like he's solid, and to go out and just maybe Gassiev is too small for the weight, but to go out and beat Gassiev and give Fury that fight, I think at this stage of this career, could be a tough one for Joshua. But I also don't think Wallin's a massive puncher, so I think that's taking it for that, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of thinking. I feel Joshua should be able to get the job done. I think I can see it being like quite a cagey affair. Kind of, I can see both guys kind of taking their time. But yeah, you never know. You know, so maybe Joshua will bring it out, and look to take him out earlier. Who knows? Or Wallin, he might do what he did versus Fury. He might just go for it. But I personally think it will be a bit more of a cagey affair. But yeah, I guess we'll find out the weekend.
Yeah, lots of Joshua's fights have been as well lately. Like, everyone's going on about his confidence. And like, one thing you can't deny is that he's strong and he can punch. Like when he does let that right hand go.
Oh yeah.
I was at the Hellenius fight, and one thing I found with that performance is it was just everyone was saying he was stuttering, he was hesitating, but for me, he just wasn't getting his feet into range. I was just like, how can you expect to? And the only time he did was when he landed that shot.
Yeah.
I thought like, I don't know, because it was the same with Franklin, and now Wallin is the toughest fighter out of the three. So yeah, I kind of do agree with you. I think Wallin might even try and stick it on him. I don't know, because if you watch the Gassier fight, he boxed and it was a bit hesitant. So
yeah,
I think you might be right. I can't see Joshua just going crazy, especially with that Wilder fight there. I think he'll try and win it, kind of, just on the points.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of what I'm thinking as well.
Yeah.
What about Wilder Parker? I actually think this could be a lot closer than some people are suggesting. Now, obviously, I know it's Wilder. He's got that right hand. He can take you out any moment. But I just feel, Parker going into this, I believe he's fought 3 times this year. He's active. I think this could be a hard fight for Wilder. I really do. But, it always comes down to, he's going to catch him eventually. But I don't know. I think Parker can cause some problems. He's obviously got good movement. I think... I did like a short breakdown on my channel just the other day. Like he does kind of get caught out with the left hook. That's the punch. Parker, yeah. He'll get caught out with the left hook a lot. So I don't know if that's maybe a punch, Wilder should be looking to land as well. But I think this could be a lot closer than some people are suggesting. I don't know what you think, Dan. You might be the complete opposite, but
I think what's going to happen is this card is ultimately being built to see the fight everyone wants to see, and then both guys are going to get the win, and then the world is going to see the highly anticipated Otto Wallin Joe Parker fight. I think, the fight we've all been waiting for. No, I think you're right. I think the only guy that's stopped Parker is Joyce, and Joyce has a completely different style to Wilder. Like, they're both aggressive to a certain degree, but Wilder's more like a sharpshooter, just swing, whereas Joyce just kind of just walks you down. So I don't think Wilder's going to like walk him down. I think it'll be a case of catching him. If he I think Wilder's going to knock him out. I think he will catch him. I think he's just got that power, and I also think, I don't know what you think, Jeremy, but like. I think he's a bit underrated in the way he sets his right hand up and the way he delivers perfect. Like everyone says he's a windmiller, but the one he set up against Bamain Stabern, like I know Bamain Stabern ain't the greatest fighter, but like little left hook and like the way he generates that snap, he's quite crafty with setting that up. Although he like windmills when he gets you hurt, like I think you'll clip him.
Yeah, no, he's like you're saying. I think he's really good at setting up the right hand. Like he'll post out his jab quite a lot just before he fires the right, and or you'll even like peel away the guard. Like you'll stick it out and peel away the guard and then fire the right over the top. So yeah, he's like I wouldn't say he's got the best ring IQ in the world, but he's definitely got underrated ring IQ in my opinion. Wilder, I think he's not just like you said, he's not just throwing a windmill every time. He is a bit of a thinker in there too. And I think obviously since teaming up with Malik Scott, I think that's probably helped him a bit. Even just going off that the Wilder Fury 3 fight. I think he actually did okay in that fight. The issue was, watching back just the other day, that he just gassed out so quickly. And then obviously Fury was able to hurt him. But I just feel, I think he's not fought since October 2022, Wilder, and that's where I'm a bit hesitant about him. Could we see him kind of start to slow up quite early, and then Parker take advantage?
It's a 1-round job, so he's boxed 1 round since that hard fight against Fury.
Oh, and that's exactly. That's the point. It's like he's not really boxed that much since the Fury fight, really, and that even that was a tough fight. So yeah, I do think Wilder will win, but I just think Parker will be able to box him into the later rounds, and then eventually that right hand's going to land.
And he can be cagey as well, Parker. Like, everyone seems to forget the Joshua Parker fight. It was such a cagey fight, like, from both of them. I think, like, and I feel like Parker was very standoffish that fight too. Joshua just did what he needed to do. I give him credit for that, but I think it was more Parker that was standoffish in that one.
Yeah.
I think against the puncher like Wilder, I don't think we're going to see him go gun ho, because Wilder is durable. Like, we see that against Fury. Like, he's not the kind of guy you're just gonna. He's not like a Tommy Hearns who's like powerful, dangerous, tall, but you can clip him. Like he can take punishment and absorb it. So yeah, I do think we'll see a bit of an elusive Joe Parker. I do think he might give Wilder problems. Wilder's there to be caught, but yeah, ultimately I feel like I feel like he's just going to get caught at some point. I can see it happening.
Yeah, and we've also got Bivol and Arthur on as well. Obviously, I think we obviously want a bigger fight for Bivol to get, against Peter Biev or even Boatsi or Aziz or someone like that. And obviously, they're all tied up with other fights. So I think this was probably the best fight they could made. The only other one I was thinking was maybe Yard. That could have been an interesting fight to have made. I think just even before the Peter Biev fight, just to kind of compare how they would, they both fought him. So, but yeah, I think still, I think Lyndon Arthur is a good fighter. I think he's got a really good jab. I think he could maybe cause some issues for Bivol early with his jab, but I just think Bivol's just going to turn up the pressure and he'll just outbox him. I wouldn't be surprised if he was able to get the finish maybe in the later rounds as well. But what do you think about that fight?
No, I agree. I think he'll stop him, and I rate Arthur for taking that fight. That's like, if you get off a Bivol, you just go for it. But I mean, I remember when Craig Richards boxed Bivol, and he done a lot better than people expected. Yep. And then obviously, the next, it's tricky because you're looking at like Bivol, who's facing the prospect of Lyndon Arthur, and like Bivol has beat Canelo. Like, it's tricky to get yourself up for those kind of fights. I'm not saying that Arthur isn't any good, but you know what I mean? Like, having gone from Canelo Alvarez, and then you got that Craig Richards experience, and for Lyndon Arthur, like, he's fighting Bivol, so he's got nothing to lose. You do never know, and he might give a good performance, but yeah, I think Bivol is the man, and like, I don't know, I just finding like boxing's been so good, but I'm finding that division so frustrating because Beterbiev's obviously getting on. Like, he's 40, if he isn't 40 already.
Yeah.
Bivol has been out all year, which is like, man, he was the fighter of the year last year. I just find it frustrating. I just wish these guys would cement their legacy a bit more and just get in those big fights. And do you know what I mean? Like, stamp their legacy.
Who would you pick between Bivol and Peter Biev at the moment?
I think I'd pick
if they were to fight Bivol.
I used the favour Beterbiev because like when he beat Vosdik as well, and and he proved he's tough against Yard. And I mean, like, I think like, Beterbiev can be hurt and he can be caught, as can Bivol. But like, I feel like Bivol's been more solid, and he's got. It'd be such a good fight. I just want to see it, like, because like, but all he has to do is just like tickle your chin, and then like you're gone. Like, you've seen him crack people with shots that like arm punches, and they just completely melt to the canvas. But I think Bivol would be able to just pick him off, and there's whispers going around that Beterbiev's body's breaking down. Like, this Callum Smith fight's been postponed, and even that, like, you just never know. Callum Smith might just catch Beterbiev at the right. So
exactly, because Cam Smith he's a big puncher, isn't he? So with that left hook, so he could catch Peter Biev, and that, and then it's like, it's kind of like a what if, will that fight ever happen if he was to lose that? But no, I do hopefully it can happen next year. The Saudis can maybe put up the money again, but we'll need to wait and see. Exactly, Dan. Yeah. Talking about the next fight, another heavyweight clash, Dubois and Jarrell Miller. With Jarrell Miller, like, obviously he's a drug cheat at the end of the day, proven drug cheat, and I don't think he should be on the card technically, but he's still fighting regardless. And I think Daniel Dubois should get the win, but you just don't know with Miller. You know, he's a big tough guy. You could draw him into a fight, but yeah, I guess we just need to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really. I mean, it'll be a good one to watch, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot going into that one. We are really, but then boxing, you know, if you ban drug sheets or people that have failed drug tests, like you get hardly any fights made these days. Like I know Miller's case was severe, you know, and like it's just unprecedented. Like I swear, the amount he was found to have in his system, and it's just like there is no like blurred lines around it. Like it's just completely off the beating. So yeah, I don't know. It is a bit. I'm not really sure how to feel about that one, but like I've just said, like there's been loads of fighters that have been caught with stuff that they're not supposed to have, and it's murky waters, man. But I think. Yeah, it depends how well Miller takes a punch. If he takes a punch well against like someone like Dubois, who obviously can whack, you know, he'll probably get banged out. But like Dubois has, you know, if Miller just presses him and gasses him, then you know, Dubois,
yeah,
he can catch up with him, if you know what I mean. And that's the big question
yeah,
mark
exactly.
against Joyce. You know,
Like I feel like I think if Dubois is just quite disciplined, gets behind his jab and tries to set him up, you know, with his, you know, body punches and can slow him down, I think he should be able to get the win. But yeah, you just don't know. It could be, you know, especially, you know, with, you know, you've seen a lot of people call Dubois a bit of a quitter and stuff, but it's like,
yeah,
it's hard, you know, put yourself in his shoes. I don't like when people say that, you know,
I
but
wouldn't call him.
I hope he's still young as well. You know, he can still come back and compete again.
I wouldn't call him a quitter, but as a fighter, I would say, look, you can stick it on him. That's how I would approach it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying he quits, but I'm saying like, you know, you stick it on him and like he slows down. Do you know what I mean? That's what I would
Yeah.
say. But I just wanted to say, like, with all of these heavyweights on the card, when is my man Zhang back? I want to see Zhang. I miss Zhang. He's
Oh
become my
yeah,
new
man.
favorite.
Yeah, no,
What's happening
he's
with Zhang?
yeah, he's so good. Yeah,
He's class.
I
I love.
think it would have been great to get him on the card. That would have been fantastic to see him up against someone else in the card. I think, like, you know, even obviously Hrgovic, he's also fighting on the card against Dan Morley of all people. But you know, Hrgovic versus Zhang too would have been a good fight, I feel. But yeah, I think.
But I almost feel like Zhang deserves more than that. Like I think he beat Hrgovic and he's just banged Joyce out twice. Like I feel like he's deserving of a big fight. And he's Chinese, and there's if he can, you know, get the Chinese fan base, like that's huge, especially for Top Rank as well.
Oh yeah,
because I know trying to target that fan base when they put Pacquiao in Macau and with Zhu Shiming. So for me, like especially with his time running out because he's 40, and I could, he's so good and he's so funny, and like he deserves a shot. And I can just see him being frozen out until he's like 43, and he just ain't got it.
yeah. And then that's when someone like one of whoever's heavyweight champion at the time, you know, they'll obviously take him on. But he's such a dangerous fighter. You know, he's a good counter puncher, and he proved versus Joyce as well. You know, like you know, just how good he was. You know, and I guess with like heavyweights, they can kind of box into their 40s, and their power doesn't go. You know, that's not the first thing to go. So hopefully we can see him in some big fights in 2024. And I'm trying to think who else. Opetaia and Zorro also fighting. And obviously I feel quite sorry for Opetaia. I don't know if you saw the news. He's got stripped of his, or I think he vacated his IBF title.
Why did he have to do?
Basically, I think it's because Zorro wasn't in the rankings for the IBF, and they wanted him to fight his number one mandatory, which was Bridus, but Bridus was injured. But Bridus said it was okay for him to fight because he's injured. But the IBF were like, no, Zorro's not in the rankings, and you need to fight your number one mandatory, which I know. So he basically had two choices: don't take the payday or vacate the title. So it's a shame. I do.
He'll get it back.
Feel sorry for him, but I think you know he'll want to prove a point on Saturday, no doubt.
Yeah, he'll get it back, and he's still Ring Magazine champion. cut you off there, but I think the line went a bit funny. Yeah, oh man, that fight, the one he just boxed, Jesus Christ, that was brutal. Like, you very rarely see fights like where someone just goes out and bangs the other guy. But like, who was he fighting again? Oh, I was at the press conference for it.
I know you're talking about.
I can't remember
it's
his
gone
name.
on my head as well.
Yeah, like tall.
Let me just check.
Yeah. I can't remember.
I can't remember his name. Completely forgotten.
Yeah. But no, I really like Opetaia, and I was really impressed with him. And I think I mean, you see the first Bradis fight, like, he's got guts as well. And Bradis is no mug, man. Like, Bradis, like, gave the hardest fight, you know. So yeah, yeah, Zorro is another one I don't really know that much about to watch. I kind of followed briefly, like, coming up, but like, yeah, Jordan Thompson, that was it. Jordan Thompson, when Jordan Thompson
that's it. Yeah.
You just the experience that was taking that jump. You know, it's a big jump as well for Zorro. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm looking forward to seeing him back in on Saturday. I think, you know, I just love, like you said, I think he's got brilliant movement as well, and he comes to fight. he wants the knockouts, and he's just quite. I think Zorro, he kind of needs you to be standing in front of him. He's a good body puncher though, and he's got a good jab. But I just feel like the movement of Opetaia is just going to be too much for him. I think he'll struggle with his movement and the way he comes in and out of range really quickly. And he's a southpaw. Yeah, I just think, and you know, he'll want a point to prove as well. So I think it'll be a tough fight.
Yeah, he looked like a prime southpaw Mike Tyson in that last one. I was poor.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know. Like, you know, and fair play to Thompson for taking that fight, because, you know, you get offered a world title shot, you take it. But yeah, that was pretty brutal.
Yeah, and then I think there's some other fights in the card, but we've got Makhmudov, the Russian, versus who's he fight? Kabayel, the European heavyweight champion. I know he's been Joshua's sparring partner over the years. He beat Derek Chisora, I believe, like 4 or 5 years ago, I think. So yeah. I think Makhmudov, he's just this big, massive Russian. I think he's Chechen or something like that. Yeah, I think so. And he just rushes out. He just goes for the knockout straight away. So I expect him to maybe get the job done. But Caballero, that's a tough ask to get the victory over him. And then we've also got Frank Sanchez, the Cuban. Yeah, and Junior Fa, the New Zealander. But once again, I'm just very much expecting him to get the win as well. So, but you know, it's good. You know, good heavyweight clashes on the card. I think it should be an exciting night. But what I was going to ask you is, what fight are you most looking forward to out of all of them on the card?
I don't really know. Like, it's like I touched upon earlier. Like, there's not one that really stands out to me. Like, oh man, that's a great fight. I just want to see them all box. Do you know what I mean? It will just be, in a weird sense, I think like the Dubois Miller one is the most intriguing, because you just don't know. Like, they're both like quite aggressive, and they're both like at a stage in their career where they can't afford to lose, really. I like Opetaia and Bivol, so it'll be good to see them. Although I think they'll both win quite comfortably. And just watching Joshua and Wilder, like, it's just mad having them card. But it is funny, you know, because I was looking at the old cards, and like, this is what, maybe not to this degree, but cards used to be stats. I remember having like, well, I don't remember because I wasn't alive, but seeing cards with like Julio Cesar Chavez, Tyson, De La Hoya. Do you know what I mean? Like, cards used to be stacked, and like they've gone a bit, you know what I mean? They've got a bit stingy these days. So Saudi are bringing them all back.
I know, that's the good thing about it. And no, I think if they can put on more events like this, I think it's good for boxing overall. I can't complain as a boxing fan and someone that loves the sport. Yeah, it's just like, you know, bring on more. I'll just wrap it. We'll just wrap it up then, Dan. And I was just going to ask, just before you head off, about your future plans for 2024. Are you going to get back into the ring? Is that your plan, or?
No. So Yeah, I am. That's the quick answer to that. I'm currently going through the process right now of getting my my license renewed, because obviously as a pro, you have it for 12 months and then it expires. So I just got to a stage where I just needed a break from it last time. So I let it expire. I boxed my last fight last May, so about 18 months ago. So I'm in the process of getting that done now. And in the meantime, really, I took a step away just because, like, boxing as a pro, when you're coming up, it's a hard thing to do, man. It's hard to make a living. Like, if people knew, well, I did a video on how much money I made doing it. But if people knew everything that went into it, I just needed a break and to reassess and go back. And I'm going to go back with obviously a much bigger following now, with plenty of other opportunities going on in the background. And I'm excited about it. It's I've decided I'm going to do it. It's just a case of sorting stuff out now and just seeing what route I'm going to go down. As I say, I'm currently waiting for my license to be sorted, so nothing can happen until that's done. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
That's brilliant, mate. No, I'm really looking forward to see what you do, man. And I would love to come to one of your fights as well. Obviously, I'll keep an eye on your Instagram. I'm sure you'll let us all know once you've sorted everything out. But no, that's great news, man. And if you guys haven't watched Dan box, make sure to head to his channel. I believe you have some of your fights on there, don't you?
Yeah. There's quite a few of my fights on there, pro and amateur. So
yeah, so go check some of his fights out. Dan's a brilliant fighter. I know a big inspiration of yours is Triple G, and you definitely see some of the elements when you're fighting. I really enjoy watching those fights, and that's great to hear that you're coming back. And I guess, do you want to tell everyone just about where to follow you and your social media?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I've got a TikTok. If you type my name in, Dan Morley, you'll get it up. Like, it's either boxing or boxer. Like, my TikTok is boxer. My TikTok is boxing. So Dan Morley boxing. If you type that up, you'll just find my account.
That's great, Dan. No, I really appreciate it. Yeah, so guys, make sure to check out. Dan also does, like we were saying at the start, does these amazing lists, all different topics as well. And I believe some of them are on your YouTube page as well. So you guys can check out the full videos as well. So no, he does a really good job with the content over there too. So no, but Dan, no, I really appreciate it, man. I hope you enjoy the fights at the weekend and you have a good Christmas and New Year as well.
Likewise, Sammy. Thank you, mate. And thanks for having me on. It's been fun. Cheers, man.
No, definitely. No, that's great, man. All right. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.